This is me hacking an entire network using the most famous Active Directory attacks, from domain enumeration to full admin on the entire domain. In this video, I'm going to take you with me as I unleash the most famous attacks. Oh, for sysadmins out there, I will explain how you can defend your network. Companies give me money to hack them, and I love sharing my hacking tips and techniques with you in this channel. But here's the problem. I can't share details about my clients. To solve this limitation, I apply the same hacking techniques on practical and hands-on labs available to anyone. There are so many hacking techniques already here and even more to come, including the one you're watching right now. Let me fill you in with what went down. My awesome employer organized this incredible event about Active Directory attacks and how defenders can detect and respond using a security vendor called Netwrix. My task was to hack into a target and become domain admin, and the audience loved this part. You know how much I care about you, so I asked Netwrix to let me share the same attacks with you, and they were kind enough to let me borrow their top-notch Active Directory lab to show you this exclusive demo. By the way, they're not a sponsor of this video. So here's the situation. I have access to a machine inside the network simulating an initial breach, also known as assumed breach scenario. With focused determination, I dove into domain enumeration, leveraging PowerView to unravel the secrets hidden within the Active Directory infrastructure. At one time, in the data collection process, my eyes widened in disbelief. I stumbled upon a scary revelation. Some user accounts had strange-looking descriptions. Passwords, maybe? I carefully documented these accounts, knowing they could serve me as a stepping stone to further infiltrate the system. But the surprises didn't end there. I discovered that my current user had local administrator privileges. This was very promising because it means that I had the potential to extract valuable credentials from this machine, opening doors to probably other users' credentials. This is a very interesting attack path. But I had to first explore other, potentially equally interesting discoveries. Driven by curiosity, I expanded my reconnaissance, mapping the entire domain with the aid of Bloodhound. As I executed my commands, a wealth of information unfolded before me, exposing intricate relationships between everything in this domain. As you can see, the visual representation that emerged revealed a sprawling network of users, groups, and their interconnected relationships. Among the multitude of nodes, my attention was immediately drawn to a promising session that was made to my starting machine. What makes this special, you may ask? Well, the user establishing the connection had some serious privileges. I mean, real serious. He could in fact talk to the domain and ask for any NTLM hashes of whoever he wants. In Active Directory words, he had the right to DC sync. And you will see why this is so epic shortly. Guys, I'm telling you, it's both common and super sad to come across a situation where all employees have that local admin privileges on their workstations by default. I mean, seriously, it's like a recipe for disaster. But hold up, it gets even worse. Brace yourselves for this mind-boggling fact. Sometimes I found networks that had the exact same password configured on all machines, or most of them. Even servers. Can you believe it? That's a big no-no, fellow sysadmins. If you're doing the same mistake, you need to step up your game right now. Follow some golden rules. First, only grant local admin access when it's absolutely necessary. Don't just hand it over like candy, and never ever configure the same password for your local admin accounts. It's like leaving the front door wide open for hackers. There are tools like the built-in labs that helps you manage those local admin accounts and keep everything secure. Wondering why this is a big deal? Here's a concrete attack example. Remember when I said I was local admin on my workstation? Well, together with Bonnie Scaly's session are ingredients for a disaster of the highest degree. I am about to get domain admin very soon. Check this out. I fire up a local admin PowerShell prompt and unleash the famous Mimikatz tool. Seriously, it's like the ultimate tool for Active Directory for hackers. So what did I do? I dumped the NTLM hashes for our pal Bonnie Scaly. That's all I needed to steal their identity. You heard it right. No need for their password. Mind-blowing, right? If the sysadmin had configured the protected mode for LSAS, it would have been harder for me to grab their hash. The attack doesn't end here, my friends. With a sneaky move called Pass the Hash attack, I spawned another PowerShell process, but this time with the compromised user's identity, Bonnie Scaly. It's like I became Bonnie Scaly, and you guessed it, I can now DC sync to extract the NTLM hash of anyone. But I'm not going to target anyone. I'm after the most powerful hash in the entire domain, the mother of all hashes. Even its name is hard to pronounce. Some prefer to call it KRBTGT, others simply say KRBTGT. Anyways, that's why DC sync is so powerful, and you should never ever give it to anyone in the domain. And why KRBTGT specifically, you may ask? This bad boy hash right here lets me forge my own Kerberos ticket, granting me access to anything I want. But there's also another evil reason. To rotate this beast, sysadmin's gotta go through the process of resetting its password not once, but twice. And wait for it, my friends. They gotta sit tight and endure a grueling 24 hours wait before those two resets. So I quickly ran Mimikance again to inject this golden ticket. Seriously, it's literally called golden ticket in the field. Many security vendors are able to detect this well-known ticket, so it's important for sysadmins to implement some detections. So I inject this golden ticket into my current PowerShell session, and guess what? I became domain admin, ruling over the entire domain like a boss. But this was just the tip of the iceberg. In fact, I have other mind-blowing attacks to show you. One of the most famous attacks in Active Directory is called Kerberosting. And let me tell you, we're gonna roast Kerberos big time. Here's how it works. You gotta dump some special accounts tickets from the domain. What makes them special, you may ask? A tiny attribute called service principal name, or SPN for short. When this attribute is set, even with a dummy value, the account suddenly becomes high in the list of hackers. But hold up. Don't think you can just reuse them like NTLM hashes. Nope. Not gonna work like pass the hash attacks, my friend. You gotta crack those bad boys offline. And guess what? If you succeed, and one of those accounts, just one, happens to have some juicy privileges, it's like a free pass to a juice factory. Oh yeah, it's game on. So I fired up Rubius. This super cool tool will extract those beautiful tickets for me. Look at them, so cute. Then I unleashed the king of offline cracking tools, Hashcat. With a word list of my choice, I eagerly wait for the results, and bam! 2 accounts got cracked. Can you believe it? One of them is called SVC SQL. And get this, it's a member of the domain guests group, which, wait for it, a member of domain admins. Like, seriously. What a massive oversight from the sysadmin. Hey sysadmin out there, never ever combine weak passwords with overly permissive rights in service accounts. It's the perfect recipe for such a disaster. Here I am, simply reusing the credentials and authenticating as SVC SQL to the domain controller. And guess what? I'm back to being the king once again. But what if I couldn't crack those hashes, you may ask? Well, buckle up, my friend, because I'm about to unveil an epic card that I've always wanted to show you. I'm gonna listen for any incoming logons on my super cool workstation and simply steal the identity of every user who dares to log on to my machine. Can you even imagine the chaos if privileged users connect to my machine? Here's a demo in action. I'll monitor for those logons every 5 seconds using Rubius again, patiently waiting for someone to make a move. And boom, it happens. Do you recognize this account? Oh, hey there, dear SVC SQL buddy. Now, all I gotta do is reuse this lovely ticket and snatch SVC SQL's identity. Now that I have a session as the stolen account, I'm going to connect to the domain controller. This attack wouldn't work everywhere. In fact, my current machine is configured with unconstrained delegation, so it could capture those juicy tickets that I could reuse. So sysadmins should never configure machines or servers with unconstrained delegation. Some of you might complain and say, well, if no one has connected to the workstation. You've been following so far, and I like your critical thinking. Here's the shocking answer. You might be able to coerce any machine in the domain to connect to your workstation. Really? Yes, including the most powerful one, the domain controller. This is possible because of the printer bug. Maybe I'll demonstrate it in a future video. If this all seemed complicated, you will love this last technique. It's so simple, you'll be mind blown. Remember when I mentioned that I found strange looking descriptions in some of the domain accounts? In fact, these are indeed passwords. Do you want to know how I knew? Well, I simply spawned a PowerShell prompt using the potential password of the user nwadmin, who is, by the way, a domain admin. And guess what? The credentials worked like a charm. It's like hitting the jackpot. Now, all that's left for me to do is connect to the domain controller as solid proof that I've successfully compromised the entire domain. Hey, sysadmins, never store sensitive data in the description field. Remember that anyone in the domain can read them. Feeling overwhelmed and want to learn more about Active Directory hacking? I suggest you start with CRTP course, which I reviewed in this video. Next time, I will showcase yet another Active Directory attack scenario, but with a happy surprise. Subscribe and hit the ring bell to stay tuned.